Remember when I did a video on my new Hyperspeed mouse? The video I just did like, mid-April, less than 3 months ago? Well, now I have a new mouse. Again, yeah, usually I'm excited for new tech, but not today. On the desk is the Razer Basilisk Ultimate, and I'm a little pissed that I actually have to make this video, but we're gonna go over all the features of the mouse in comparison to my Hyperspeed, and then I'm gonna tell you why it's here in the first place, and just a little bit of a rant about how all of this happened. Let's get into it. Now, as far as the body is concerned, I would not blame you if you couldn't tell these two apart. If you sit both these mouses side by side, they look almost exactly the same. So let's go ahead and get into the differences of the Hyperspeed and the Ultimate. First off, if you look at the top of the mouse, you will notice that there is a difference with the DPI button switch. On the Ultimate, you finally have two buttons instead of one on the Hyperspeed because, it was a little bit annoying to have to keep tapping the DPI button so you can circle back around if in case you just missed the setting that you were trying to get to for your DPI sensitivity. Now you can just do a simple tap down or up on either button for the DPI on top of the Ultimate to go back and forth between your DPI sensitivity settings. It's a simple thing, but it actually is pretty nice to have. On the side of the Ultimate, you have a spot to put an extra trigger. This is what Razer is calling their multi-function paddle or something like that. And no, I don't really use it at all. If you actually need something like that, it is there for you to use. On the bottom of the mouse, the first thing I noticed was there is no longer a Bluetooth switch. There used to be a little switch I can flip on the bottom of the Hyperspeed where I can switch it from wireless to Bluetooth. They decided to omit that from the Razer. So now all you have is just wireless and of course the switches to power it on and also a profile button which allows you to switch between 5 profiles saved onto the mouse if you use that kind of thing. Again, not something I really use. I'm not sure why they decided to omit Bluetooth from what is, I guess, their top of the line mouse in the Basilisk lineup. It really seems like the Ultimate is geared a lot more towards gaming, whereas the Hyperspeed is geared more towards both gaming and work, which is what I needed. However, on that note of gaming, obviously, because it's a gaming mouse, you can't omit the RGB, which the Hyperspeed didn't have any, which I kind of liked, but now the Ultimate does have RGB, and of course you control the profiles and the settings and lighting styles and all that in Razer's application. For me, when it comes to not having Bluetooth, that simply means that I now have to unplug the Razer Ultimate from my PC and plug it into my Mac in order to use it instead of flipping a switch on the bottom. Honestly, it's not that big a deal. It takes about the same amount of time. Another thing you'll notice on the bottom and with the mouse in general for the Ultimate is there's no batteries here. Unlike the Hyperspeed, which uses one AA battery, the Ultimate is actually charged. So you can either get it with a dock, which will allow you to mount it and charge it. And of course, the dock has RGB. Or you can get it without the dock, save yourself a little bit of cash, and the USB cable it comes with will charge it all the same. I have noticed that if you do not get into a habit of putting it on the dock, due to the RGB lightings, the mouse will die after a day of use. For me, that day of use is about 16 hours of use because I use it for both when I'm working, and of course after work while I'm still sitting here at the computer. So that's about 16 plus hours of use. And it lasts pretty much all day without an issue, as long as I remember to dock it at night. Now, we kind of went over this already, but just to recap just a little bit, the Ultimate does have some specific features that is just on the Ultimate and not on a Hyperspeed. Again, with that profile button that I mentioned earlier is one of them. Another thing is the resistance on the scroll wheel. So the scroll wheel has a little resistance scroll wheel on the bottom of it, just a little mini scroll wheel, which if you scroll it up or down will change the resistance on the main scroll wheel on the top, which is also kind of nice, I guess. I never really thought about it. I don't think it changes or really enhances my experience that much, but again, it's one of those nice to haves. And one more thing which I want to point out, which is the switches. So with this being a gaming mouse, Razer decided that it was best to go ahead and switch out those mechanical switches, which is on the Hyperspeed, to their custom optical switches. These switches have a bit of a different feel and sound, so go ahead and take a listen. And with that, that brings us to the reason why this mouse is here in the first place. So before I get into that, I will go ahead and say that the Ultimate, in comparison to the Hyperspeed, is definitely an upgrade of sorts. The switches feel good. The tracking and all that feels about the same as the Hyperspeed. I never had any issues with the tracking. It was always very accurate, so I never had any problems with that. Honestly, the only real difference between these two is the RGB, the optional dock, and of course, if you are a gamer, if you are a real true gamer, you will find the Ultimate to be more to your style because, of course, you have the different profiles which you can change up, and of course, that extra paddle on the side if you really need it. And then again, the switches. The reason why this mouse is here is because the Hyperspeed started double clicking on me. If you're not aware of what the double click issue is, it is an issue that is prone to mechanical switches when it comes to the mouse. And it's also not an issue that's just on Razer. This I found across the web to be with a bunch of different brands as well. Pretty much any brand that uses mechanical switches on mouses is prone to have this issue. And you wouldn't know, yes, you wouldn't know that, just like I didn't if you're new to the mouse game. So if you remember back in my last video, I said that the Hyperspeed was my first premium mouse. And that is the reason why I didn't know that this issue existed. If you search around the web on YouTube and all that, like I did, I primarily use YouTube when it comes to researching if something is good for me or not. I look at reviews. The reviews didn't mention this. None of them. No videos actually mentioned that this was an issue of any kind that I need to look out for. When the issue happened to me, literally a little bit after the Amazon return policy went out, typical, that's when the double click issue started. And it's bad. It took me several tries before I can get the mouse to just drag a window across my desktop, before I can get it to just click accurately one time without mistaking it and just double clicking every single time I tried to click one time. Very annoying. And eventually it started to affect my work where I'm trying to click on different things. And I simply cannot have that. That made the mouse completely useless to me, which is a shame because the Hyperspeed for that. No, the Hyperspeed without that issue is a perfect mouse. It is a great mouse. I really did love that mouse until this happened, which brings us to the Ultimate. Now, Razer has on their website, so instant actuation, no unintended clicks. It's funny how they mention that when it comes to the custom optical switches. But they don't say anything about that or anything like that at all when it comes to the Hyperspeed that has mechanical switches. And they don't even mention that it has mechanical switches, by the way. I had to search around the web and dig around to actually find that. For whatever reason, they chose to leave that bit out and just say that it has some good switches. I can't help but feel a little bit, I don't want to say scammed, but it does seem scummy that no one really talks about it or at all. And you just run into it like a wall. So that's pretty much what happened to me. And it cost me quite dearly. And within 3 months, I ended up spending a little over $200 on mouses because of this. I needed a mouse that was wireless. I needed it to be a good mouse. And that pretty much led me to here. It led me to having to pick up the Razer Ultimate to alleviate this issue of double clicking. You can pick up any other mouse you like. Just be aware of the fact that if you're picking up a mechanical mouse, a mouse with a mechanical switch, you could be prone to, you could get this. You might not. There's tons of reviews of people who got a mouse with mechanical switches, had zero problems, and then you'll scroll a little bit more in those reviews and you'll find someone who's on their third or fourth replacement due to the double clicking. I didn't want to have to go through that. I didn't want to have to go through return hell trying to replace this mouse 3 and 4 times, hoping I get lucky and get a mouse that works. Wasn't going to happen. So that is where we're at. And that is why I have the Razer Ultimate. I can't complain too much about the mouse itself. RGB looks great, even though I'm not that big of an RGB fan. RGB looks great. More importantly, the mouse works great. I haven't had any issues with double clicking. Can't say that I won't because, again, I just got the mouse a couple weeks ago. And I don't know, I don't want to say that this is ultimately the solution for double clicking. I don't want to say that. I just want to say that in a few months, I'm going to come back with a very short video letting you know whether I have the issue again or not. How about that? It's the best I can do for you. But that is it. That is all for this video / rant. I hope you did enjoy. Hope you did enjoy. If you did make it to the end, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I promise I don't go on these long rants on every single video. Just this one here irked me quite a bit. You guys have a good day, and I will see you in another video. Bye-bye.